Here I have an exception. It doesn't seem to have any natural resources around, but this is next to a point of interest. So I could come up with some stories about this location. Hello and welcome back, fantasy cartographers. In this video we're going to cover more about adding settlements, and jumping right into the topic. First things first, determine how many countries you want to have on your map. Preferably determine this at the way beginning of even picking up a canvas size and understanding what kind of settings you want to have on that map. So back then, if you do it, it's going to be better. And at this stage, if you didn't do that before, determine it now. And for the purpose of keeping the video simpler and not overcrowded, I'm going to have only 2 countries here and maybe 1 isolated civilization in the desert. So that done. Second step, I recommend you to either find, like pinpoint where the capitals go for these countries, or where are the borders. They can change the orders, but these 2 are very important and you should do it before adding any like castles, villages, etc. So doing it right now, starting with finding where the borders are. I already told you I want to keep it simple, so I will have only 2 countries. And now I'm gonna draw the border of the first country. The natural borders are the most common definers of political borders. And what do I mean by that? Mountain ranges, hill ranges, valleys, any unique form or shape of geography, rivers, forests, these kind of things are generally the things that people back then used as a line to understand where the borders go. Why do we do this? Why are we first trying to understand where the borders are and where the capitals are? It's all because that will help us to understand how can we distribute, how can we spread the settlements. For example, I did it like here. That means there was a path here and maybe this country is trying to go down, and that means I would need a fort here or somewhere here so that they would have a strategically important point protected. And for these kind of thoughts, but in general, you would need to know where the borders are and where the capitals are. So if I know that this capital is here, somewhere around it, without being so far, I would need to have some forts, like for the main armies to have trainings and etc. Because you cannot have your capital unprotected and train your soldiers like 500 kilometers away. So to understand those things, I need to know these two most important informations. So I have 1 capital here. Maybe I will change the position here, and let's put the other one right here. Now that I know the capitals, what I will do is the next step. I'm gonna plan where my cities, towns, forts, etc. go using these icons. So this is the next step that I will share with you, that I recommend you to do, but this is not a must. You can directly jump right into adding illustrations. But before that, if you do it this way, it will be easier to change them and make revisions if you don't like how they're spread. And now that we have a bigger map, I will first plan them using these simple icons, and then I will switch them with detailed icons so we can also see the other style of adding settlements, which is illustrated type of settlements. So I'm gonna find where they go, and I'm gonna tell you the thoughts that I put into those placements and what kind of things we should consider when finding where the forts go, where the towns go, where the cities go, etc. So see you soon. All right, I'm back, done with the planning. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to export this and I'm going to overlay it to change them to the illustrated versions. And right now I'm happy with it. Time to give you the informations that I used to add the settlements here. As you could notice, I am having some forts nearby the capitals. It doesn't have to be always the case, you can have exceptions, but it would make sense. What I also did is I added the forts considering borders, so both of these kingdoms are having some forts there in case of any invasion. These guys are protecting here, so it's going to be a gate through the mountain ranges, so it would make sense for them to have it here. And let's actually not revisions, but have an add-on. Let's maybe put one here, and maybe should we go with another one? So this could be the part where people go through the borders, like the passport control, you know? Depending on the size of your map and how much detail you want to have, what I would recommend is, if you're not planning to have a very detailed map of a region, I recommend not including villages or including them as very tiny points and dots, and maybe without names. So you just know along the map where they are located. And if you don't have a map like that, I would generally suggest to go with only towns and cities. And depending on the population and the strength and the mightiness of your kingdom, you can have more settlements and towns. So for example, because these are small kingdoms to me, I'm having only a few cities and a few towns per cities. But if I were to go with a more populated and developed country, I could easily double the cities and towns per cities. And same thing applies for forts. So this is how you can also balance. Think about the population, how much population you want to have, and how developed those countries are, and it will give you the numbers for adding settlements. So now that we covered these as well, let's also cover the final thing. Let's have a quick analyze of where I placed those towns and cities. So as you could see, I placed all of them except for one or two, considering natural resources. I have a city because here I have some forests, so they could build things, etc. Like wood is a very important material for constructing or heating purposes. And they have a lake, which means they have fresh water. And here I have a town on the edge of the mountain, which shows me that it's probably because there is either some mines there, or they're doing the stone working, or maybe there is a unique creature that only lives in that mountains, and it's very crucial for doing some magical enchantment because you need the horn of it or something. So I'm building up reasons for every settlement that I put in my mind, and when I'm done with my mapping, I'm going to write them down for the settlements so I know why they exist. Therefore my plots will be more realistic and they will be more colorful. I'm adding this one here because it's closer. I have this capital here, and because I didn't want to change it. This one, for example, I have it because it is surrounded by the river, natural protection against invasion, and only can be, like, it would be easier to come around this way with the army. But on that direction and nearby, I also have a fort. So if you don't want to go through this, you would probably need to sneak up somewhere around and come all the way up here. It's really nicely covered and protected, assuming these kingdoms have smart people to rule. And I have, for example, this town here. Why? Because if we are doing transportations with ports, the capital also needs somewhere near a port to do the trading. So this one would probably be responsible of doing any trade through sea that needs to go to the capital or that is going out from the capital. And I have another town here because it still has very good resources. If I were to plan this country inspired by China, we could have more population here. And here, it's here because there's a forest. Most probably they will need things related to forest. So I'm covering all kinds of resources that the country would need. Here I have an exception. It doesn't seem to have any natural resources around, such as water or stone or forest, etc. But this is next to a point of interest. So I could come up with some stories about this location. So it's just to bring some interest, and it could inspire me to come up with nice stories about this place. And this one, strategic point. And these ones, again, strategic points, and this is covered by the river, has all the resources nearby, have a fort, and also feeding this region or uniting this region that is like the border region. And the same here. So anything that needs to come to this city through ports could use this town. So this could be another trade town that feeds this region through sea, or that allows this region to export things. And the same things go for here. Again, port, city this time, not town, but city. I'm not gonna have only port towns or port cities. You can also have port villages if you are to show them on your map. I'm having another one here, a different one. This is on the island. I don't have any other settlements that belong to this kingdom that is on the island. The same thing applies. A port here for the protection of this area. Not that they would maybe need any protection that comes for any threat that can come through the desert, but what if they? We never know. There is always magic. And also there are times when the militaries incredibly successfully pass through deserts. It also happened in history, so it's never a zero chance. So I'm having an isolated civilization here. Maybe this is independent, or maybe it's just a part of them. I have another exceptional thing here that is next to a volcano, so it adds more color to my variation of settlements. And all things similarly applies here, like port city, port town, and it's on the island, which is quite big, that belongs to this kingdom. This one also has port, as you can see. So any military requirement could be also transported through sea to this port, which is why it is here instead of being here or using the river as defensive position, etc., or being on the mountain or in a valley and covered with wall, etc. I'm using different strategy to feed the variety for not only towns but also ports and everything in general. I have an exception. It's next to this crack, would bring me some stories, inspiration, etc. So these kind of things, guys, apply them. Have a variety. Don't go on, okay, I need wood, I need water, I need stones, I need etc, etc. Even if it's a settlement based on mining, have a variety of the sizes. A mining town, a mining village, a mining city. The capital itself might be mining. Like the actual reason for the capital to be there might be a very valuable mine. So therefore, when you have lots of kingdoms and you apply this to all of them, you're going to have a very beautiful variety and it's going to be very realistic. Another thing, for example, this one, why is it right here? It's only next to the river. It could be also next to this hills. Maybe because, you know, you need some paths to go through the left and right settlements on this region. So you have break on your journey there. Or when the trade is going and that point is where the night will come again, it's maybe where they rest. These kind of trading reasons as well are very important, and you can apply these ideas on also the cities, even villages. Let me see if I forgot anything, or if you have some ideas that I didn't cover that will add a beautiful variety to the settlements, comment down below. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna export this and I'm gonna start changing them with the illustrated settlements. So we will see the other type of style for adding settlements to our maps, and I'll see you soon. Alright, I am done adding the settlements. Now what I want to cover is, I already mentioned this in the first half of the tutorial, but I'm going to do a quick recap. This is what I generally recommend for the beginning, if you want to take things a bit fancy without making it a pain. I change the architecture depending on the country, culture, etc., or the location, but I repeat the same assets for the same types of settlements. So all the towns are going to be this. All the cities are going to be this. The capitals will have background and the banner. So the others will be not labeled with banners, but without banners. If you want to take things further, what you could do, for example, define that if it has 2 buildings, it means town. If it has 1 building, it means village. Every time you move to another town, as an example, instead of this one here, I could just maybe make this. And now I would have town again, because on my map key I mentioned 2 buildings for towns. The style just changes without breaking the architecture, without changing the theme. So this, if you want to make things more fancy, but it's going to take so much more time, because every time you move to another town, another city, you will end up doing a reconfiguration, doing a new design. So imagine for this 3, I cannot use it anymore, so I'm just gonna go like something different, maybe that and this, etc. Like I can use just like this. Here you go. So you basically build a system, like a categorization system, to clarify what is what, and then depending on how much time you want to spend on it, you can go fancier. Also, you could change colors if you want to go fancier. Like you could repeat the same assets, but you could change the colors of them. But I wouldn't really recommend it, because keeping it the same like this, you know, it's to make it more readable. People will just look for this icon, the way it looks, to understand where are the towns, where are the cities, etc. So if you want to go the ultimate fancy-ish thingy where you change all types of assets and everything, then yeah, the colorings also could be changed. But this I would recommend for beginners. It gives enough variety. It easily helps to separate the countries and the cultures. And it's not a big pain, because once you are done with categorizations, like towns for this, villages for this, you just repeat the asset. So this is a balanced one in my opinion. And for the capitals, I'm adding banners. For these parts, I'm not adding banners, because imagine if I had some banners always. If I put this here, where is my lake? I lost the lake. So I would only prefer to add labels on the banners if the place is a capital or like extremely important. Which again, you can do another categorization for this. Like maybe you will only add banners if it is a city, and all the other towns, villages, details, points of interest will be labeled directly on the map. This is what I recommend for beginners. It balances the details, aesthetics, and practicality together, in my opinion. If you want to go more minimal, you can just stick with this one. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this helps. If you did, make sure to like and support. And if you have any other tips for the community, make sure to comment them down below. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye.